Hello and welcome to my garden tour. My garden's name is Oko and it's located on an east-facing balcony in Miami, Florida. Everything I grow is edible with the exception of a few flowers. When I originally set out to do this video, I thought it would be a simple point-and-shoot tour of my garden, but I ended up having to shoot it twice because I hadn't accounted for how incredibly awkward I am in front of a camera. I'm working on that and also working in my garden. The plus side to this little mishap is that this video features clips of some of my plants 21 days apart, so you'll be able to see some progress. Let's jump right in. Here is one of my rosemaries. Next to it is an ornamental pepper called a Pequin Pepper. It can also be used for spices, and I like to use it in pickling. Here's my Echinacea. I've had to build a barricade around it because the cats have often laid on this plant, stunting its growth over the last couple of months. Since putting up this little barricade, I've seen new leaves and I'm hoping I'll get a coneflower soon. Here is Latin Tilo. It's a medicinal herb that loves the shade, so I grow it towards the back wall. Here are some wild lettuce sproutlings that originated from another plant I was growing a month ago. They're growing here near the Culantro because they need the shade for now while they're small. Providing more shade is my broccoli. And here's what it looked like 21 days later. In that same planter, I'm also growing Dinosaur Kale and Beets. In a raised pot, I'm growing purple basil. Interesting fact about purple basil, it gets its pigment from exposure to the sun. So the more sun exposure each leaf gets, the deeper the coloration becomes. Right under that, I have my dill, which is actually one of my favorite things to grow because I love the smell and I love pickling. Here I have spicy oregano, and next to it, I'm growing lemon thyme. What I love about lemon thyme is that it's very fragrant. All you have to do is touch it and the smell will linger on your hands all day. Here is a chili pepper that's towards the end of its cycle. I will harvest the seeds and I'll save them for future generations. Let's move back towards the front of the balcony. Here we have garlic chives. It's currently flowering, and right behind the chives, I have cilantro and flat parsley. Next I have my Vicks plant, which is really good for opening up sinuses when used with steam. Here I have a cauliflower, and if we flash back to March 1st, I still hadn't wrapped it. Next we have ghost peppers. I'll harvest these once they turn a deep red. Here we have sage, and next to it is pineapple mint. I'm actually allergic to pineapple, so it's nice to be able to experience the flavor. Here's olive next to the Mexican tarragon. I also have Cuban oregano, which goes by Mexican mint and Spanish thyme. At the center of my balcony is my shell ginger. I've had this ginger since I started my garden about a year ago. I was shocked when it flowered because I didn't know that ginger flowered. The flower and the root of this ginger is actually edible. Again, this is called shell ginger. Here's a quick flashback to about a year ago when I first got this plant from a local nursery. Every time I upgrade its container, it grows to size. Next to it, we have Bahama wild coffee. Contrary to its name, it's actually not coffee, but serves as a good attractant for bees. Right under it is catgrass, a wheat germ combination good for both your cat and your dog. More dinosaur kale growing in a planter with a Loco Pepper, which makes a great additive to chimichurri sauce. Here we have Lucy posing with the lemon balm. Right next to it is the Apache Pepper, and this is how it looked 21 days later when it was ready for harvest. Next we have Aloe Vera, which flowered around the beginning of the month, so here's a throwback. Next I have another cauliflower. This is pre-blanching so the leaves remain unbound. Right under its leaves I'm growing some oregano. After I harvest this cauliflower head, I'll add another plant and continue to grow the oregano here. Here's my original Vicks plant, which I cloned the other one from. Here's what the plant looked like about a year ago. Finishing off the front line of the balcony is my oldest rosemary. I have some cherry tomatoes here and black cherry tomatoes, which grow very tall. In this corner of the balcony, I have a little flower patch. I'm growing English lavender and common lavender, a vining variety of Sambac Jasmine, which is very fragrant. Unlike this ornamental jasmine I have that flowers often, but really doesn't have a smell. Last on this table is my garden red rose. With proper care, this flower will flower often and abundantly throughout the year. Here is my Trinidad scorpion pepper, one of the hottest in the world. And next to it, I'm growing the Carolina Reaper. Here is celery tango. It produces a much thinner stalk, but the stalk is actually a lot more flavorful. In the planter one over, I'm growing jalapeno peppers, I'm growing okra, and I'm also growing banana peppers. This is a baby sunrose I received as a gift. When these flowers open up, they look like a little fluff ball. They make an excellent ground cover for any garden bed, and also look very good as a hanging plant. I'm also growing catnip. In hanging planters, I have apple mint, I have basil and this plant I found. I have spearmint, which is also called yerba buena. Next is bergamot mint. This is mojito mint. And last, ginger mint. On my table, I'm growing compact citrus thyme, accompanied by a little air plant head. Under the table, I'm growing red root. During the day, the flowers will stay open, but in the afternoon, they'll close up and become barely noticeable. On the walk up to my apartment, I have some lavender and my gardenia, which I've had for over a year now. This gardenia is currently in full bloom. Thank you for watching my garden tour.